Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start with some breaking news. A fire is burning right now near Bonnie Lake and there are level 3 get out now evacuations. Those are in place for people living between Bonnie Lake and Texas Ferry Road north of the Baptist Place. Here is a look at the smoke in pictures sent from our crews on the scene as well as Spokane County Fire District 8. They say crews are attempting to get to the fire, which is about 50 acres in size, but that it is difficult to access. According to authorities, it is burning in a box canyon with limited road access. This is south of Cheney and north of Malden. Our Christian Garza was the first reporter on the scene today at that fire. Let's check in with him live now for the very latest. Christian?
Yeah, Mark, it's a very active scene right now. It has only gotten worse and worse since I got here at 4 o'clock. I'm going to step off screen and show you exactly what I'm seeing right now. So now there are visible flames here on this hillside right here as crews in dozers and aircrafts are working to create a line of defense as well as dump water from on top as, you know, the fire just continues to grow. Now, crews have been out here since about 2:50 working to put this fire out, and the winds out here have definitely not helped in their favor. The winds have only picked up here in the area, causing the fire to shift here to this area and move around here. And so really right now they're working on putting out these different flames that you see on this hillside right now. Crews are going out on foot. They're also going out by fire truck. And like I said, there are different aircrafts kind of circling. I've seen multiple different helicopters and planes as of right now. But like you mentioned earlier, the public information officer from the Spokane County Fire District 3 says this is just very difficult because of the terrain here. Now, I'm going to point out to this dry area right in front of me right now. This is exactly what's out here, just this dry brush that they are working with. And so they're trying to make sure to close off this area right here to make sure the fire doesn't spread more downhill. But like I said, the smoke has only intensified here in the area as the winds kind of take it over here to the north. But other than that is all the information we have right now. The public information officer is not on scene as of right now, but we are working to get more information for you as we get it. But like I said, it has only grown, in my opinion, since I've been here, since like around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
At the scene right now, some pretty dramatic pictures right there. Let's bring in our chief meteorologist, Jeremy the Goo. And Jeremy, you can both hear and see the wind in Christian's live shot right there. And that's what firefighters are up against. And that's just hard to stop a fire when you have those conditions.
Yeah, especially when you're talking that fire burning in a grassy area. You saw some of the green in those grasses, but they are quickly drying out. I think some of that was likely wheat as well as it moves into those wheat fields. But as you can see on the map, between Spokane and out there in Bonnie Lake, there is a lot of open space, and that open space is predominantly farm field. What you're looking at is filtered winds. I'm doing sustained winds over 20 miles per hour, and they're just staying. It is very, very, very likely that we hang on to those strong winds through sunset tonight, which still sits some 4 hours away. It is windy. We knew it would be, and we also knew it would be hot. Temperatures up near 90 degrees are accompanied by relative humidities down in the teens. That is important because every single one of those embers or sparks stays lit a lot longer and travels farther in the wind and dry atmosphere. We are under red flag warnings through 9 p.m. for strong wind gusts, warm temperatures, and a whole lot of dryness. Everything has dried out the past few days. Unfortunately, this pattern just hits on the backside of some of the warmest temperatures we have seen so far this year. 83 degrees is where we'll be tomorrow. 4th of July looks like it brings a couple of isolated showers. Those will stay up in the mountains, but I like the idea of atmospheric moisture as fireworks are lit off across the region. Mark?
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the show. We're also tracking some breaking news out of Ada County tonight. This morning, Brian Kohberger pleaded guilty to the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. We have team coverage tonight. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy and Shannon Mowdy are getting reaction and some perspective on Kohberger's change of plea. We start, though, with KREM 2's Amanda Rowley, who went to Boise and was in the courtroom for today's hearing. Amanda?
This plea hearing in the Moscow murder case caught us all by surprise. Even when we learned Bryan Kohberger was expected to enter a guilty plea, we really didn't know what to expect in Ada County Court today. Ultimately, he admitted to killing the 4 University of Idaho students. A courtroom on edge, anticipating Bryan Kohberger's admission of guilt for the murder of Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Kohberger sat before the Ada County judge and the students' families, pleading guilty to all charges against him. 1 count of burglary and 4 counts of murder.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Did you, on or about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonsalves, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And did you, on that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
The Latah County prosecutor summarized the evidence the state would have presented in trial, including several new details about the night of the crime in November 2022.
The defendant entered the residence of 1122 through the kitchen sliding door on the back side of the residence, which is the side of the residence that would face the area above where the defendant's car was parked.
The prosecutor says Kohberger went straight to the 3rd floor bedroom of the King Road home, confronting Maddie and Kaylee. He says that's where the knife sheath with Kohberger's DNA was left behind. The murder weapon still hasn't been found.
Mr. Kohberger entered the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. He did that with the intent to kill.
The state says he didn't go home right away, but once he did, they found this evidence on his phone.
He took a selfie of himself on his phone in what appears to be the bathroom of his Pullman apartment with a thumbs up.
The judge accepted Kohberger's guilty plea. He now faces a life sentence in prison. The judge will rule on his punishment at the sentencing hearing set for July 23rd. That is when the families get to share their impact statements. Attorneys are confident that hearing will conclude the same day. In the courtroom this morning, I sat right behind Kohberger's family. I saw his father a few times wipe his eyes and otherwise holding his wife in his arms. When I looked across the courtroom, the victims' families kept their focus straight forward, as though they were letting the guilty pleas set in and processing what was happening in that hearing. Reporting in Boise, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. With a plea deal offered just days ago, this morning's hearing came together so quickly, even the judge admitted that he was then scrambling to prepare. Our Shannon Mowdy spoke with former Idaho Attorney General Dave Leroy about why it may not have been that much of a surprise to some. Shannon?
Yeah, just hours ago, the official plea agreement document was publicly filed. It shows Bryan Kohberger signed on to the deal Monday. It was a move that seemingly shocked just about everyone.
I, like most everyone else, learned of this plea agreement Monday afternoon and had no inkling of it beforehand.
There, in black and white, Bryan Kohberger signed, admitting his guilt to the 4 murders, about a month before he was set to stand trial. While the agreement took many by surprise, criminal defense attorney Dave Leroy says it makes legal sense.
The alternative theory of perpetrators collapsing last week, it was predictable that if there was to be a plea, it would be right now.
The defense has tried and failed for months to remove the death penalty option and to suppress evidence like DNA.
So in a sense, it was surprising, but in a sense, it was exactly what could have happened at exactly the only moment that it could have happened. as the evidence became more mounting.
Leroy says a defense attorney's top objective in a capital case is to avoid the death penalty. So he says this outcome is somewhat of a victory for the defense.
And it certainly is understandable from a public safety point of view, where this man will be locked up for the rest of his life.
Now, Leroy says that Judge Stephen Hippler is not bound to impose the maximum penalty on any of Kohberger's crimes during next month's sentencing, but he did say that he doesn't anticipate any surprises there. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.